So then today the discussing the topic is socio-economic dimensions. So under the in the socio-economic dimensions, the what is the climate justice? So what is the climate justice and socio movements and global civil society? So in the study of socio-economic, sociologically, economically well-being. So due to in the any changes in the climate, so the facing the problem mainly sociological and economically. So we measured in dimensions like, so what is the justice? So that is called climate justice, and what is the socio movements and global civil society. So global changes due to emission of these greenhouse gases which affect the environmental factors leads to globalization. So these social movements and global civil society. So we and finally we discussing climate change and gender. So finally we discussing climate change and gender. So that is first we discussing, that is socio-economic dimensions. Explain the concept of, so explain the concept of equity. So that is equity. We fight with equity. That is equity and its correlation with the climate change. So that is we are all fight with equity. That is so that is due to justice. So justify the these factors we justify. So that is so then before what is the concept of equity and its correlation with the climatic change, and recognize the role of social movements. So identify or recognizing, so that is important social movements in understanding the complexities around the climate change. So that is also so what is the role of global civil society? What is the role of global civil society in climatic actions? So that is also, so these are all discussing about today topic. So climatic change, so the what already we discussing the term climatic change. So the transition in the weather patterns, so opening or transition in the weather patterns. So it changes that happens in the weather patterns. It is also changes in pattern in the weathers. So that is, so it is an important to understand the cause. It is an important to understand the cause. So that related to climatic change. So the climatic change are called as climate forcing. Climatic change is also called as climate forcing. So this under this climate justice. So what are the objectives of climate justice? So what are the objectives of climate justice? So under these studies, so the concept of equity and its correlation with the climate. So that is a concept of climate equity and correlation with the climate change. So this discuss a climate displacement. So what is the changes? What displacement? For example, the carbon dioxide is emission is more. So that is it displaced by another humidity conditions or moisture conditions. So which affect the many living human populations. So then this defining equity. So this defining equity, so the relationship between equity and climatic change, relationship between say equity and climatic change. So equity is an international dimensions. So equity is an international dimensions. It related to the climate change. It related to the climate change. So it is linked to international equity. It is linked to international equity. So because it is a sense, the sense and awareness, the sense and awareness about the impact results in the international equity that related to the climatic change. So that related to the climatic change. So it is this discussions. So that is so that is intra generational equity. So between the generations is called as, so that is inter means within. So within the generations of the same generations, within the same family. So intergenerational equity. See, it's an important role. It is play an important role in the history of climate change discourse. History of climate change discourse. So this it deals with the waste. It decrease difference in the, so that is a decreased difference in the climatic change. So that is uh, so it is an interrelationship between the equity and the climatic change. So it is demands certain important moral positions to the developing countries. So that is moral. So moral differences in the, so the what are the objectives? So what are the objectives to attain the stabilizations of greenhouse gases and to, and these greenhouse gases? So it is a dangerous interference with the climate change system. So this adaptation of ecosystem, mainly we discussing a adaptation of ecosystem means, so aquatic ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, where the greenhouse uh, gas emissions and their adaptations of ecosystem is a natural in nature. So in the naturally the ecosystem the adapted the these disorder management. So that is, so it also takes place some of the safeguard. So that is sustainable economic development and food productions. Along with this, to safeguard, we are all manage with a food productions. That is mainly, so development and food productions in the agriculture from the farmers. So these some of the development countries are privileged. So that is important to discussing the developing countries. So they have many of the countries. So that that is that leads, so mainly in the villages. So that so that leads to a contemporary components to discussing the this topic. We should understand the balancing equity of the environmental factors. Always we are all survive with the environmental factors. So facing the many problems, the farmers, either as a farmers or as a industries. So in the industrial sectors, so the emission of these factors is more, the emission of these factors is more. So they should they should manage. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಲಿಂಕು 7:30 ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. So this factors. So first view, socio-economically, what is the dimensions? Socio-economically, the dimensions of environmental factors. So discussing this objectives. So and then what is the so that is the relationship between, so this equity and the climatic change. And another important is between the rich and poor countries, the division between a rich and poor countries. So under this for example, Kyoto protocol, KYOTO. So it is a protocol and it is a Paris agreement. So that is Kyoto Protocol and Paris, and it is a Paris Agreement to speak about the climate change. So which is the product of human induced activity, which is the product of human induced activity. So for example, in the sites of industries, so in the working of industries or industrialization developing countries. So industrialization developing countries and developing countries have their own ways to deploying fuels, natural resources, and coal in the energy generations. and coal in the energy generations. So this is one of the crisis which has a major impact on the in the field of international policies. So international politics. So this argued in the, so it is a contempted though a certain technological neutral technological are operationalized in the economic scale. Under this economic scale, so under the economic scale, we should discussing a division between the rich and poor countries. So for economic improvement from the climatic change, we should discussing and implemented and generalized in an economic scale. So first, all of you concentrate on economic scale to discussing this topic. So this displacement of the population, this displacement of the population, which is determined by environmental disasters mainly. So that it is due to displacement of the population. So which mainly they causes the environmental disasters. So that is it is a natural hazards. It is a natural. What are the effect of natural hazards such as floods, storms? So in heavy rainfall, in the rainy season, the rain is more. So that is due to high temperature, the carbon dioxide emission is more. It leads to a natural hazards such as floods, storms, and droughts. Even also sometimes, so decrease in rainfall, then it becomes a drought. So these are broadly classified into different categories of climate displacement. So due to either as a floods, storms, or droughts, so they are classified into different categories of climatic displacement. So it is a risk that developed through the negative impacts of climate change. So for example, poor countries, so such as Haiti, so that is Pakistan, so undergo a major forms of a climatic displacement. So in the Pakistan particularly in the Pakistan, they have a major forms of climatic displacement. So this majority of the people under the in this area, the majority of the people are prone to these forms of displacement due to the that is a drastic change in the environment and climate. So that is a high temperature, -0 centigrade, that is winter season. So due to this climate, drastic changes in the environment and climate, so about more than a million people, 36,000 million people leave their habitats due to climatic change in the year 2008. So in the 2008, poor countries like Pakistan, so their people have displacement, forced to have to leave their habitats due to a many climatic change. So in the 2008, 36 million people are they are migrated from one place to other places. So under this, so what is the climatic refuges? So climatic refuges, that these are climatic refuges are those the peoples who have to leave their habitats. So that is climatic refuges due to means the peoples have leave their habitats. So immediately or in the future or near the future. So because of a sudden or gradual alternation in the natural environmental related at least one of the three impacts of climate change. So that is either as a sea level rise or as extreme weather events and drought and water scarcity. Due to these reasons, so water is important. So due to a water scarcity, so drought and water scarcity, the gradually the peoples are leave their habitats immediately. So it is leads it is because of a environmental that disruption, that is a natural by peoples. So that is seriously they affect the quality of their life. So because basically they are the same country, due to many this climate change in the environment, The peoples are displacement due to shortage of food and shelter and weather conditions, which are the climatic change affects the peoples are, so there is the refuges, that is called as climate refuges. That is called as climate refuges. So climate justice, what is climate justice? We should so that is it is a development report. So it is a publications of global change, global climate change. So that is issues of equity and climate change. Due to issues of the, equity and climate change, the publication of the global change report, that is called as a development report by HDR. So it is due to the what is the point out of this development report? It is a significance of a carbon debit, so related to a rich countries. So it is a repayment of the debate and recognize the human development imperatives demand. So in many rich countries also facing the problem of this of contempt. So then what is the threat? This threat to lowlands and small islands. So it is a problem of lowlands and small islands. That is, so for example, lowland. So it is a broad expanse of land. Lowland is a broad expanse of land with a general low level. That is called with general. It is the landward portions of the upward slope from the oceanic depth to continental highland. So this what is this denoted? So what is this denoted? To region of a depression in the interior of a mountain region. Slope. So the mountain is always the space. It is coming from upper to lower, that from and forms a slope. So lowlands are prone to a natural disasters. So during flood time, during rainy season, so that is a problem of a natural disasters. So it occurs in the coastal lowlands due to a many reasons. So that is, so for example, in small island, so that is, so are located in the tropics and subtropics. So many islands are occurs between the in the tropics and subtropical areas. So that is small islands are also located in the many this tropics. So it is a part of the ocean regions of the Pacific. So this island is a part of the regions of Pacific. So Pacific, Indian, so Atlantic and some Caribbean and Mediterranean Sea. This small islands are located in this Atlantic or Caribbean and Mediterranean Sea. So these they are not homogeneous group. So it is a island. These islands are not homogeneous groups because the salient features of this small physical size, so that is limited natural resources bounded by oceans and a sensitive to external shocks and due to high population, that is poor infrastructure, so unskilled satisfaction and some of these so therefore they are more prone to different from impacts of climate change. Due to these reasons there is a more changes in the climate change. So that is, for example, in small islands, in the small islands in mount that is sea, in the mountain region, sea level is rise will become a threat to human population. That is, so sea level rises due to a small islands. So sea level is high, it impacts on climate change. So this is changes. This changes is lead to warming. This changes is mainly leads to warming. It is produced that there will be a thermal stress in the forthcoming years. So these due to this factors, climate change, due to these factors, climate under the climate change. So So that is the fossil fuel that is sustaining development and developing countries. So developing and developed countries, some of the going on development already developed countries, that is fossil fuel. Fossil fuel that is sustaining development and developing or developed countries. So what are the fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are the non renewable energy sources. Fossil fuels are the non-renewable energy resources. So it becomes economically that is impracticable. So it is impracticable due to its non-renewable characters. Once he uses, that is final. It is a non-renewable resource. All fuels. So all fuels are non-renewable, not reuses of these products. So therefore, the hike in the price decide the consumptions of it. So this presence of fossil fuels. So this presence of fossil fuels is linked to the scientific exploration of the crust on Earth. So it also associated with a accessible fossil deposits. It is also a relationship with a accessibility of a fossil deposits. So at the same time, the factors such as the level of sulfur, at the same time, the factors such as the level of sulfur and other pollutants, level of sulfur and other pollutants in the oil and coal, the transportation cost, the shifting of this these products as shifting from one place to other place, that is a transportation cost. Risky locations are part of this process. Sometimes the locations are very risky for transportation, so that is also very dangerous. These fossil fuels are deployed for the energy provisions. It is a energy fuels, given energy, so and it is a energy provision. So there are three types of fossil fuels. So the fossil fuels are classified into three types. What are they are? These are classified into coal, oil, and natural gas. Coal, oil, and natural gas. So coal is a solid fossil. Coal is a solid fossil fuel. So it is formed through the decay of land vegetation. Coal is the formation of a decay of land vegetations. It is called as coal. So coal is a solid fuel. That is, so this process is takes a big span of time. So that is train is moving of train by a coal gas, that is solid core. So this coal heavens as the result of solidification of the layers and constant heat. So this deposits change into coal. These deposits are changed into the coal. So it is available than the other two fossil fuels. It extends to mines. So it is extracted in mines. So it is also, coal is also considered as the most available and burned fossil fuel. Coal is a may available and it is also a burned fossil fuel. So this fuel was widely used during the industrial revolutions. In the industrial sites, the coal is most widely used. So still it is one of the dominant form of fuel. So coal is one of the dominant users of a fuel. China is the most constructions of coal power plants. China is the largest production of coal. So it is estimated that reserves of coal are 909 million tons. So 909 billion tons. So that is, so it can sustain the that is productions for 155 years. Overall productions for 155 years. So this coal, so For example, in developing countries, so in developing countries, so the deploy coal because oil and natural gases are behind their financial capital. Beyond this, so it is a financial capital. So cannot operate. China and India are the major consumers of coal for their energy provisions. So China and India is the most consumer of coal. So for energy provisions. So that is. So and another important this fossil fuel is that is oil, petroleum, diesel and petroleum. So oil is a liquid fossil fuel. Fuel. Coal is the solid and oil is the liquid. That is, oil is a liquid fossil fuel. So it is formed from the marine microorganism deposited on the sea floor. On the sea floor, the microorganisms are deposited in the form of a oil, liquid oil. So the deposition of these organisms after millions years, after millions of years, result in rock and sediments. So after a million years, deposition of these microorganisms, they becomes a rocks and sediments. So this oil that get trapped in the small spaces. So these oil that get trapped in the small spaces, it is extracted through the drilling process. These rocks and sediments are so produces under the drilling process. It is a very common fossil fuel. For example, crude oil, the comprises a diverse organic compounds are converted into the products through the refining. So it is deployed in roofs. It is deployed in roofs, roads, jets, and so on. So this availability of oil is not so common. The availability of oil is not common, but power and conflict is linked to the oil resources. So that is important. So it was visible in the Gulf War of 1991. In 91, it was is visible in the Gulf War. That is natural gas. So another important fossil fuel is natural gas. This is important. So natural gas is a gaseous fossil fuel, solid one, so that is a liquid one, and gas. There are three fossil fuels. So that is, so natural gas is a gaseous fossil fuel. It is adaptable, and plentiful in nature. So in nature, it is more adaptable and plenty. So it is created through the remains of marine organisms. Due to remains of marine organisms, they are decay and formations of the natural gas. So it is clean than the coal and oil. This natural gas is clean than the coal and oil. So it is also a new type of energy resource. Natural gas is also a new type of natural resources. So coal was a popular than the natural gas in earlier time. In earlier time, a coal is was most popular than the coal gas. So it is widely used in the developing countries. So that is in earlier time in the developing countries. So now it is widely used in rich countries. So there is a so it is because supply of natural gas is many countries. So this so world is facing a major crisis related to fossil fuels. So world facing a many problems due to a major crisis in related to fossil fuels. So because the developing in a poor fashion, so mm, this use of this clear fossil fuel is important. Have a sustainable development in the developed and developing countries. The use of these cleaner fossil fuel, the use of these cleaner fossil fuel. It is an important sustainable development in already developed and developing countries. So it reduces these fossil fuels reduce